Kira stood in the observation deck of the celestial horizon, staring at the chaos unfolding below through the reinforced plexiglass. Her amber eyes tracked the small figures tumbling, grappling, and occasionally launching themselves at walls with reckless abandon. She pinched the bridge of her nose and exhaled slowly. "How long has this been going on?" she asked without turning. Dren, the ship's chief xenobiologist, consulted his datapad. Approximately 4 hours since the Cubs discovered Cargo Bay 7. Security reports 14 separate incidents across 9 different corridors. Incidents, Kira repeated flatly. "You mean brawls?" "If you want to be technical about it, ma'am. They're more like enthusiastic wrestling matches with aerodynamic components. Below them, 3 Velnari cubs, each no larger than a human toddler but covered in iridescent scales and sporting. Vestigial wings tumbled across one of the foam training mats that had somehow migrated from the cargo bay to the main concourse. They chirped and clicked with delight as they practiced what their species called kreshta, the ancient art of aerial combat. Except these cubs couldn't actually fly yet, which made their attempts look less like martial arts and more like extremely determined falling. Kira had been commanding the celestial horizon for 6 years, ferrying diplomats, refugees, and cargo across the outer territories. She'd negotiated with pirates, navigated through quantum storms, and once talked down a rogue AI that had developed an unhealthy obsession with ancient Earth sitcoms. She could handle difficult situations, but nobody had prepared her for 12 Velnari cubs. The Velnari elders assured us the juveniles would be docile during transport, Kira muttered. They said the cubs would sleep most of the journey. To be fair, Dren said, adjusting his spectacles, they probably would have, if someone hadn't left the cargo bay unlocked and filled with human military training equipment. Kira shot him a look. Whose responsibility was cargo security? Dren raised his hands defensively. Lieutenant Morrison's. And before you ask, he's currently trapped in his own quarters because 2 cubs have decided the area outside his door is the perfect dueling ground. They've been at it for 45 minutes. He's afraid to come out. Afraid? They're very persistent. And surprisingly strong for their size. As if to punctuate his point, a series of high-pitched battle cries echoed through the ship's intercom, followed by the distinct sound of something or several somethings hitting the deck plating with enthusiastic thuds. Kira activated her comm. "Security report." "Ma'am, we've got 4 more cubs in the medical bay," came the harried voice of Ensign Park. "They found the physical therapy equipment. Dr. Yates is trying to explain that the resistance bands aren't for playing tug-of-war, but they're not listening. Actually, I don't think they understand English or physics. They've somehow created a catapult system." "A catapult?" "Yes, ma'am. We've had 3 collision warnings in the last 10 minutes. Kira closed her eyes. "No one's hurt, I hope?" "Just dignity, ma'am. Chief Engineer Rodriguez got tackled by a cub that mistook him for training equipment. The cub seemed very proud. Rodriguez is filing a formal complaint, or he would be, if he could stop laughing long enough to write it." Dren leaned over to whisper, "If it helps, ma'am, this is actually remarkable behavior. Velnari cubs are known for their instinct-driven learning patterns. They're probably accelerating their physical development by months thanks to this unintended enrichment program." "Enrichment program," Kira repeated. "Is that what we're calling it? Better than shipwide wrestling pandemic, don't you think?" Another crash resonated through the deck beneath their feet, followed by more cheerful chittering. Kira pulled up the security feed on her command tablet. Corridor after corridor showed the same scene. Training mats dragged into strategic positions, cubs practicing tackles, rolls, and what looked disturbingly like coordinated ambush tactics. Some of the older crew members had apparently given up trying to stop them, and were instead offering pointers on proper form. In the mess hall, she watched as Sergeant Chen demonstrated a proper shoulder throw to 3 enraptured cubs. They mimicked his movements with shocking precision, then immediately tried the technique on each other, tumbling across the floor in a pile of scales and delighted squeaks. "You know what the worst part is?" Kira asked. "That we still have 6 days until we reach Velkar Prime?" "That too. But also," she gestured at the screen where the cubs were now doing practice drills with remarkable discipline, "they're actually getting better. They're learning faster than they should be." Dren nodded thoughtfully. "Human training methods tend to be more kinetic than most species. We evolved for persistence, for repeatedly practicing physical skills until they became instinct. The cubs are responding to that methodology. In their natural environment, they'd learn these skills over years through controlled sessions with adult supervision. Here they have unlimited access to equipment and inadvertent human mentorship. It's actually quite beautiful if you think about it. Beautiful, Kira echoed, watching as a cub executed a nearly perfect barrel roll across a training mat, then crashed into a potted plant. Sure, her comm chirped again. Captain, you might want to see this, Ensign Park said, his voice different now, less panicked, more awed. Kira pulled up the main cargo bay feed. All 12 cubs had somehow congregated there, arranging the training mats in a large circle. As she watched, they began what looked like a formal sparring ritual, pairs taking turns, others watching from the sides, chittering what might have been encouragement or critique. There was structure to it now, order emerging from chaos. They're teaching each other, Dren breathed. The ones who learned techniques are passing them on. That's advanced social learning. Velnari juveniles aren't supposed to demonstrate that level of cognitive cooperation for another 3 years. Kira watched the cubs move through their improvised training session with growing fascination. They weren't just playing anymore. They were practicing, improving, supporting each other. The reckless tumbling had evolved into something more, a community learning together. Get me Ambassador Velthak, Kira said finally. When the Velnari elder's face appeared on the screen, feathers ruffled in obvious concern, Kira turned the feed to show the cargo bay. Ambassador, I need to report that your cubs have been unusually active during transport. The ambassador's eyes widened as he watched the young ones move through their training. His beak opened, closed, then opened again. Captain, how long have they been doing this? About 6 hours total. Impossible. That level of coordination, that group discipline, our best trainers spend years trying to instill such behaviors. He leaned closer to his screen. What did you do to them? Kira glanced at Dren, who shrugged helplessly. We gave them training mats and accidentally left them unsupervised in a ship full of humans. Ambassador Velthak was quiet for a long moment, watching his people's future warriors tumble and train with joyful determination. Captain Kira, I believe we may need to discuss expanding our cultural exchange program. Our military academy would be very interested in your methods. As the call ended, another crash echoed through the corridor outside. Kira sighed, but this time there might have been the ghost of a smile at the corner of her mouth. Ensign Park? Yes, ma'am. Stop trying to confiscate the training mats. Put safety monitors in each corridor instead. And someone get Chief Rodriguez and Sergeant Chen down to the cargo bay. If we're running an accidental training program, we might as well make it official. Dren raised an eyebrow. Really? Kira watched the cubs on the screen, their movements growing more confident, more skilled with each passing minute. Really? Besides, something tells me the Velnari are going to want to know exactly how we did this. Might as well document it properly. Outside the observation deck, a triumphant chirp rang out as a cub successfully completed a flying tackle that would have made any human drill sergeant proud. 6 more days to Velkar Prime. It was going to be an interesting journey.